Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum ba-dum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-da dun dun da 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 dum ba-dun dun 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 da dun da da dum ba dun 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 bum ba da dum ba dun 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 dun. Oh, here is hi Elaine. Hello, my mighties. Hello, my Facebook Live friends. It's so wonderful to see you. This is a hot night. I'm in Florida. I'm back in Florida, and it is hot, hot, hot. It is. I'm on the east coast of Florida. We did not get hit on the southeast side of Florida, so it's awful what has been happening. I know I have friends who were hit, and friends of friends, and it was really not very nice at all. So if you're following me on my blog, my friends, do send others there because there's information on mold sensitivity. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time, we do one thing and one thing only, and that is we learn homeopathy, don't we? And for those who do know me, welcome back, my friends. It's wonderful to see you. That's Francine from Ohio. Hello. Grace, Nancy from Albuquerque. Wonderful to see you. It's so much fun seeing everyone. I love doing this. I can't help myself, my friends. For years and years, I would be talking about homeopathy and no one would listen. I mean, I used it for my family, I used it for my kids, used it for my parents, my husband, of course. My husband would listen, but how much did he want to hear this stuff? So I started to teach it, and there were a few people who were interested at the very beginning, and then it started to take hold. But in the beginning, it was frustrating because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. And then I started my study group. And those study groups, every Thursday night for 4 years, we met in my living room and then one other person's living room as we went on through the years. And we never missed a Thursday night because it was our nourishment. And even if one of our kids were sick, it didn't matter. We would be there that Thursday night because it was that important to us. Not only the camaraderie, but what we were learning. And so if any of you, I'm going to remind you, try to say this every time to remind you to consider joining one of our Gateway to Homeopathy study groups. They're remote. You can join one and you needn't say anything. You just sit back and listen to the person who's directing it and just learn. And then eventually you will be the one most likely teaching it because the teacher learns more than the student. So if you can get into doing that, it's all guided. We have it all put together for you. Just go to my website. Now, my website happens to be down tonight, not for any diabolical reason. It's down because we're working on a new server that's going to be much more efficient. So we have to do that. It's been years since we've updated it, and so tonight is the night. And so tonight we're going to talk about ringing in the ears, tinnitus. I just actually happen to own these bells. I thought, why not? I'll gather them all and have a little fun. Ringing in the ears. And we're also going to talk about, I believe there was one last arthritic condition. Now, there are many arthritic conditions, my friends, but there was one last arthritic condition that I promised that I would finish up on from last time. So let's start with that, and then we'll go to ringing in the ears. So let's start with, I think it's not a start. I think I promised that I would talk about frozen shoulder. And that is, it's a Banerjee protocol. And most homeopaths know to consider using Symphytum, Symphytum, Symphytum 200C, Symphytum officinalis 200C. And I like to use it twice daily. And I like to mix it the way the Banerjees showed me when I was there in India with Cuprum metallicum 200C. So Symphytum 200 mixed with, oh yes, aren't we renegades? We mix our medicines. We mix 2 of them at a time. Symphytum 200 mixed with Cuprum metallicum 200C twice daily. As soon as the person improves, what happens? What do? We stop, right? This is medicine. These are not herbs. They're not vitamins. This is not something we take forever. As soon as the person improves, we stop. It could be 1 day, could be 5 days, could be 5 weeks. It's different for different people. So as soon as it improves, we stop. But then it could come back again. And we might say, oh no, it's back again. Oh, nay, my friends. Instead, we say, cool, it is back again, because it gives us an opportunity to use the medicine again. See, these medicines are not something we don't want to use. We want to use them judiciously. But we want to use these medicines because they go deep. They uproot conditions. And in getting rid of the frozen shoulder condition and using Symphytum and Cuprum metallicum, we also might find that it will help with the scoliosis or the hip pain, because that's what Symphytum touches. Or we might, because of Cuprum metallicum, we might find that our restless legs at night calm down. Oh, yes. These medicines don't work on just one thing. They often work on many conditions. And that is the idea, because they are so intelligent. And why are they intelligent? Why are these medicines intelligent? Because, my friends, this is God's medicine. And I know that might sound facetious to some, but it really isn't. Symphytum is a plant. It's right there for the picking. Yes, it was put on this earth for us to use, but by diluting it and potentizing it, diluting and succussing and diluting and succussing, done in a pharmacological, intelligent, mathematical fashion, and diluting it a certain number of times, it makes it such a great medicine, even better than it was in its original form. It's not manipulated, maybe manipulated mathematically, but it's not synthetic. It is the real thing. Cuprum metallicum, of course, is on the periodic table. It's copper. So when those two medicines are made homeopathically in this exquisite fashion, made in homeopathic pharmacies, regulated, by the way, don't let anybody tell you that the FDA doesn't regulate. Of course it does. Of course. The FDA was started by a homeopathic physician. So the FDA doesn't study it, doesn't research it. No, it doesn't do that for any drugs. Well, to a certain degree. I don't know, there's a very confusing organization, isn't it? So at any rate, it is regulated. Not that we hold those 3-letter government organizations in high regard, but just so that you know, should you have someone who believes that everything needs to be regulated by the government, it is regulated by the government. And our homeopathic pharmacies are constantly being audited. Constantly. And without any knowledge that they're coming. FDA! And then they have to scramble and put their employees on it and work with the FDA to prove that they have the facilities that are up to snuff on every level. And it's not the only organization, by the way, that is auditing and regulating homeopathy. There are others. There are international organizations, etc. But we'll let that go. I don't want to go too deeply into that tonight. It's an interesting study, but we're not going to go into it too deeply. Instead, we're going to stay with Symphytum 200 mixed with Cuprum 200 twice daily for frozen shoulder. And I want you to know that you're going to stop when you feel better, and you're going to stop. One stops, not you personally. I'm not prescribing to anyone in particular. When one feels better, then we stop. When one feels they need this medicine again, they go back to it again. And then after a while, it's no longer needed much at all. It might show up maybe twice a year instead of every day. And it might show up for, I don't know, 2 hours instead of all day. And it might be, instead of a screaming 8 in pain, it might be a 3 or 4. That's what we're looking for. Okay, let's talk about tinnitus, shall we? Now, one of my favorite medicines for tinnitus is tellurium. Tellurium, tellurium. Looking for my repertoire. I've just gotten back and everything is moved around. I don't see it right away. I just used it in the other room, I think. And tellurium 200C. Now, I've written a blog about that, and as I said, my site is down right now, but it will be back up again, and I talk about exactly that. So you put in Joette Calabrese tinnitus, and you will find exactly what I'm talking about with tellurium 200C. And I use it, sometimes we use it twice daily, sometimes I use it once a day, and sometimes I use it every other day. It's a great medicine. It's also great for vertigo if the tellurium is accompanied by vertigo. I'm looking to see. All righty. Someone's looking for a direct link. You just go to Joette Calabrese and tinnitus, or Joette Calabrese vertigo, and you'll find it. Okay, so let's talk about another remedy that we use for tinnitus. I usually start with tellurium. There are many others to choose from, but I usually start because a large percentage of people who have tinnitus are aided by using tellurium, but not everyone. And so because I start with it, I'm going to start number 1 with that. But if there are some really distinguishing factors that keep us from believing that tellurium is not necessarily the tightest fit, then we might go that way. For example, graphites. That looks like graphites. We pronounce it graphites, or at least I do. Graphites 200C, and it's a great medicine for when the ear feels stuffy. So there's tinnitus with stuffiness in the ears, or ear. Could be just one ear. Now, if you open up your Materia Medica and you look up graphites, you're going to be reading more about other conditions that are related to graphites, such as toenail fungus or corpulency, great word, someone who's overweight. Graphites can also have fatigue. They can have skin conditions. They can have skin conditions in which there's cracking and there's oozing, and the oozing is yellowish orange. Now, I realize we're talking about tinnitus, but we're also talking about the remedy that's specific for this kind of tinnitus. And if we see these other concomitant symptoms, then we can pinpoint what medicine it is, can't we? That's the way this works. So there are times when I use protocols first, and I always start with those protocols, and that's the tellurium situation. But if that doesn't quite fit, and the person says, you know what, not only do I have tinnitus, but I have toenail fungus, and I have skin that cracks and oozes, and it's a honey color that oozes. That's so screaming the medicine graphites that it would be a shame to not jump on that. Now, many times I tell people, stay with the medicine that is the protocol. Well, tellurium is a protocol, but tinnitus is one of those things that has so many potential remedies to consider. Not only because it acts so differently in so many different people, but some have a hissing sound in their ears. Some have pain associated with it. Some people have weakness associated with it. And so we're looking for those little aspects of the case of what the person is suffering to help us build our case to prove our choice of medicine. So, graphites, tellurium, we've got 2 so far. How about when there is a hissing sound in the ears? And also hearing loss. So one would think, well, of course you have hearing loss because you have tinnitus. No, that's not so. Some people only have tinnitus when they go to bed at night, when it's very quiet and they're laying still and they're laying prostrate across the bed. That's the way that's when it shows up. It doesn't show up throughout the rest of the day. Now, let me say parenthetically, some people think, well, it's because I'm busy throughout the day and I don't notice it. No, I think that if it was really extreme, you'd notice it. However, it could be that someone's being in occupation keeps them from experiencing their sufferings, which is, of course, always a good thing. To be occupied, to be busy, to have purpose in life, and then we don't experience our sufferings in the same way. So, hissing, hearing loss, and also what if the tinnitus is worse from cold air? The cold air blowing on the ears, or just not blowing at all, just cold air. Coming into that season, and when the air is cold, that now the tinnitus really ramps up. That's a call for the remedy silica. Silica, S-I-L-I-C-A, or silicea with an E-A at the end. Silica. I like that that oftentimes there's a history that goes along with this tinnitus. And the history might be, for example, that the person experienced a perforated eardrum, either from an injury, an object that caused the injury may have gotten into the ear, or it could have been a perforated eardrum from a previous ear infection in which the infection burst the eardrum. Yes, and that is also a call for silica. Now, when you choose these medicines, I'm going to remind you again, go back to your Materia Medica. Materia Medicas are online free, my friends. And also, if you have My Materia Medica, you can look it up. Or if you have a more extensive library, look these medicines up. Silica and graphites are very similar in many ways. But then they're also just enough different. So silica is generally a weakened person, not very robust, generally speaking. They can have weak ankles. They can have splitting nails. Their hair can be thin. And graphites doesn't feel very robust either. A lot of skin conditions in both silica and graphites, and both of them have ringing in the ears. But silica's ringing is more like a hissing. All righty. Let's see if we have any questions. Ever since the virus, I've had trouble with tinnitus and have 11 children, noisy household. That's lovely. I'm not going to tell you what remedies that you should be using, but I will tell you. I will give you this information so that you can make your own good decisions. Yes, please remember to share this, my friends. Let's see what we've got. Wait, was silica for hissing and hearing loss? Yes. Yes, it is. Silica is a great medicine. Read up on it, my friends. It's a great medicine. It's a very common medicine that we use. And it's a medicine that you might find not only do you see that the tinnitus is improved or the pain that's related to the tinnitus, but you might find that the skin starts to shape up a little better. The hair isn't falling as easily. The nails are not splitting. The nails are not as distorted. Interesting, isn't it? What about chirping? Chirping is a little different, isn't it? And that's why I'm looking for my repertory. Perry, if you happen to hear me, if you could find my repertory for me. See if we can find it. Hold on a second. Let's see if I've got it. Oh, here we go. Never mind. I've got it. Thanks. This is the 4th edition of Robin Murphy's repertory. And so if you look under ears or hearing, I think it's under both of those. Eyes and vision and ears. Hold on a second. And ears, hearing. And in this book, it's on page 623. And what we would do is look up chirping. Ears, hearing, tinnitus, chirping. Then we look up those medicines. Now, what potencies? Once you come across the medicine that's specific for chirping, what potency would we use? Well, for tellurium, I use 200. For graphites, I use 200. Silica, I might use a little lower potency. I can't really tell you why. I've just been very accustomed to using silica in a 6X or a 30C. I like those potencies. And if it was another medicine that you're not very familiar with, I would stay in the 30th potency. I would use it twice a day for a while and see how it goes. Sometimes it takes quite a while for tinnitus to resolve, but it's as soon as you feel better, you stop. As soon as you feel worse at any level, you stop. That's just the rule of anything. If you hit your head against the wall and it hurts and you're getting worse, you should stop hitting your head against the wall. If you're using a medicine that's causing trouble, we should stop. Don't believe, at least not in this method, that you must get worse before getting better. If you're going to get worse, it's going to be in a very mild way. We do not expect someone to suffer horribly and then watch it resolve. That's a different paradigm. It's not necessarily the wrong paradigm, but it is a different paradigm. The paradigm that I'm using, in which we repeat the medicine daily or every other day or every 3rd day or every 7th or 14th day, this is a different paradigm, and so we generally do not see an aggravation, a person getting worse. Why? Because we're repeating. I know that flies in the face of logic and the conventional thinking, but in homeopathy, when something goes awry, if it's getting worse, because it's an aggravation, then we're going to repeat it. And then if it still continues to get worse, then we stop. All righty. Next medicine. Let's talk about Calimure. Now we've got 2 medicines that are cell salts. Silica is a cell salt and Calimure. Calimure 6 or 30. I really like this medicine for stuffiness in the ears, and it is one of our main medicines for tinnitus. Now, someone said something about after getting sick, after having a flu, a virus. I often think of Calimure for that because Calimure has a lot to do with mucosal membranes and stuffiness and colds and flus. So Calimure is, of all of them so far, I'd be a little more inclined to go towards Calimure 6 or 30. How often? I would use it twice daily. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Tinnitus from high blood pressure. We want to resolve the blood pressure problem, my friends. We want to resolve the blood pressure problem. And I'm not going to tell you what the protocol is for blood pressure, high blood pressure at this point, but let me tell you this, that often high blood pressure is something it's often caused from something extrinsic. Not always, but often. Now, what do I mean by that? A drug that's being taken, another drug, a drug that seems unrelated can cause high blood pressure. A food that someone is eating in which they are sensitive to, a dye that's in a food, a preservative, exposure to certain things, pesticides. Blood pressure increase can also be, of course, from stress. Of course, we know that. But look at what else is being put into or on the body. If the person has high blood pressure and they also happen to have psoriasis and they're using prednisone, cortisone on their skin, that's likely could be a cause of high blood pressure. Not always, but it's something I want you to think about. It is surprising how often the body rejects conventional, synthetic drugs of commerce. Now, then that begs the question, so what am I supposed to do about that? I've got psoriasis. Well, we got to go back deeper. Got to keep going. Got to learn how to treat psoriasis. Got to learn how to treat food intolerances. We've got to learn how. That's where we go with this. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't use homeopathy to help with blood pressure, increased blood pressure, even if it is a side effect of a drug. But that, my friends, is for the work of someone who really understands homeopathy and has taken many, many cases and understands how to deal with that. But I want to give you the basic theory, the basic understanding. Now there's another medicine called natrum silicicum. Natrum silicum. Natrum silicicum. That is spelled natrum, N-A-T-R-U-M, and S-A-L, sal, is silicum. S-A-L-I-C-Y-L-I-C-U-M. Silicicum. Natrum silicicum. And that is specifically tinnitus, that is for vertigo related, as well as very loud ringing. The ringing is loud. I don't know that we know exactly the type of ringing it is, but we do know that it has volume, loud ringing, the kind that would drive someone crazy. They can't hear anything because, well, it's not that their hearing is impaired innately. It's that their hearing is impaired because the ringing is so loud. Okay, where can we get the repertoire? You can go to Lotus. Is it called Printed Lotus? You can get it. I'm sure you can get this on Amazon. Well, or you could look up Meta Repertory Lotus and you'll find it right away. It's Robin Murphy's site. All righty. Let's see how we doing on time. Let's see about more questions. So if someone had ringing and postnasal drip, would Kelly B. Muir be the best? It could be. Certainly could be. Yes. But you know how you know? Get on your Materia Medica or open it up if you have a book. Look up Kelly Muir and read it. And see how it fits in this person's condition. My husband just had pain in his ear with loud noises and also had fluid behind the ear. I gave him Kelly Muir 6 and it was gone in a day. That's from SJ. Thank you, SJ, for sharing that. You bet. Fluid. Kelly Muir has to do with fluids in the sinuses, ears, etc. Okay, what do you do if someone had arthritis and they took remedies that helped in one day, but it then uncovered a different pain, bone on bone, in their back, which felt worse? Well, I don't know the whole case. Does that mean that they got better in one day and then they stopped using the medicine and this happened? Or are they still using the homeopathic medicine and yet this happened? And is this pain in the back something that had been happening all along, but now it got worse? Or did it just get noticed? Or too much unknown information? And you see, I'm always trying to teach folks, I don't take cases here, and that's basically a case. I would need to know this, and then this, and then this. And then I also have to know any other meds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I can give you a quick little bit of information. The strengths for silica also 6 and 30. Yes, they are. We could also use a 200, but I often use 6 and 30. Can high blood pressure be triggered by low potassium? My doctor doesn't think so, but I kind of believe that it can be. I don't know the answer either. I have to be honest with you. I don't know the answer to that. Man, I would give an arm for that repertory. It's good art. It's good. Yeah, give an arm. Buy it. Own it. Get going and then study, my friends. Join a study group, our Gateway to Homeopathy study group. I guarantee you will get hooked for life because you will be helping yourself and your family beyond what your wildest imagination might be. Tinnitus from concussion occurred in 2019, ongoing in both ears. Okay, we've got to go, but I want everyone to answer that for me. What do you think, my friends? Ever since a concussion, what could the most obvious remedy be? The person has tinnitus. Come on, my friends, I know you all know this. Those of you who've been studying, you know this. Okay, let's just see if anyone comes up. There's more than one remedy, but there's one that I'm thinking of. I love to see what you folks say. Would thiocinaminum be a possible remedy for ringing in the ears? Yes, it could be, but thiocinaminum, generally speaking, is for, or at least includes, scar tissue. Let's see if anyone's come up with it. Nat Sulf 200, Nat Sulf, arnica, arnica, arnica. Ailments from a concussion. We have Cicuta verosa, we have Natrum sulfuricum, but my first thought is always arnica. Arnica montana, you bet. What potency would I use for arnica montana if somebody had a head injury? I would start with a 200. Yes, my dears. And Nat Sulf. Love Nat Sulf. I teach that in my classes. I teach all of this stuff in my classes. But don't bite off more than you can chew. If you're new at this, join a study group. You will not be sorry. I know that I'm really pushing this hard, but it's because I see the benefits, my friends, of working with others, being online with them, or if you decide to run one of these classes, one of these study groups, you've got your friends over in your living room. If you don't know how to go about it, go to my blog or my website, or you can even call my office and talk to Eileen, who is great. She explains exactly how to do this or what group you can join that's about to start. You will never be sorry. And so with that, I hope I've left you with enough information so that you can pick up a repertory. You can pick up your materia medica, my materia medica, other people's materia medicas. It doesn't matter. Just use a good materia medica and read up on it. I want you to have independence, my friends. I want you to have freedom from fear, freedom from panic. The last couple of years has been panic because people did not understand how to treat disease. We know this, how to do this. And you, as a student of homeopathy, will know that too. And so with that, I'll say good night. God bless you all. Love you. Thanks for inviting me into your home. And be sure to share this. Bye now.